What's going on, guys? So as I've been here trying to get better, I have been seeing on the internet all over the place the headline of Batman is now officially a metahuman. And of course, anytime Batman is referenced in anything, I'm like, what? So I had to look into this because, one, the moment I see Batman is metahuman, I freak out because I don't want Batman to have any type of powers or anything like that. One of the reasons why he's my favorite characters is because he's a human that is just like at the top of his game. He's just got a strong will and determination to do things, and I can relate to that, and I want to, like, I don't know, it's just reason why he's my freaking favorite character, okay? So I wanted to make this video because I know a lot of people are going to get confused by that headline, and they're probably just going to automatically assume Batman is going to start getting powers soon, and he's a metahuman, and blah, blah. So let's clear up this whole mess of if Batman is or isn't a metahuman. First things first, we need to start at the source, and that source is issue 22 of the current Suicide Squad run, and there is this panel of Amanda Waller telling the Suicide Squad that she needs them to get two metahumans, one being Killer Frost and the other being Batman. That right there is where everybody is freaking out because Amanda Waller just called Batman a freaking metahuman, and that's where everybody's like, oh my gosh, she knows something we don't know. But when you really get into the whole storytelling, the reason why he's classified as a metahuman is because he has come in contact with Ninth Metal, and that is because if you remember in Batman issue 40, when I'll talk about this other part in a little bit, but when, you know, Batman essentially dies, when he falls with Joker down like in the Batcave, he comes in contact with Dynesium, which has properties of Ninth Metal in it. On top of that, Joker also has revealed that Ninth Metal has like the properties to turn normal people into metas, so I believe that's why everybody's like, oh, crazy. And I think that's why, or that is why I should say, that Amanda Waller classifies Batman as a metahuman because he's come in contact with Ninth Metal. So essentially, Batman's contact with Ninth Metal restored him back to his normal body, because if you guys read issue 40, when him and Joker fell down into the cave, he said, I'm just gonna lay here a moment with my buddy, and everybody kind of thought he died when you were reading the next issue because he wasn't in it until the very last panel. But he was as Bruce Wayne, who did not remember ever becoming Batman, so he had lost his memory. But I do want to point out, when I read issue 40 and then read the following issues after that, I never thought that Bruce died. I thought that he just lost his memory. Like, you know, he got healed or whatever, you know, the Dynesium healed him, but he just lost his memory. That's what I got when I was reading it. I never once thought he died because, like, they're not going to kill Bruce Wayne. Like, Bruce Wayne doesn't die. Like, it's always something else with Bruce Wayne. That's how I've always seen it. But I was reading Dark Days, the casting recently, and Batman himself said something very interesting, and let me read it to you. To give you some context about what I'm about to read, Batman is talking to Duke and Green Lantern about what he was trying to do down in the cave and why he has the Joker captive in the Batcave. I called it my final invention. It was designed to help ensure this city would always have a Batman, but before it was finished, I died at the hands of the Joker. And that would have been the end of my story if not for the metal, if not for the Dynesium. I would have lost my life, not just my memory. Ultimately, I used the machine to reconstitute myself. So Batman right there was talking about how he was working on a machine to always have a Batman in Gotham, which is very Batman, and it's kind of gangster, you know. He's like, it's really like not even thinking about Robins. He's like, no, there's always going to be a Batman. But so when I read that, I was like, holy shit, Batman died? Because I didn't think he died at all, but apparently he did, but he came in contact with the Dynesium that brought him back to life and just made him lose his memories, apparently. Something I was very unaware of. And also, if you keep reading that comic, which you should totally read that, it's really good right now, Batman also talks about how he had these visions of other Batmans, like other impossible Batmans or something like that, dying around, like, in different universes and stuff like that. So, that's kind of what the premise is for the upcoming Metal series, but I'm not going to get into that. What I want to talk about is this whole meta-human thing. Scott Snyder himself has come out to clarify all of this kind of like mess that's going on with Batman. He's been writing Batman for the last almost, not 10 years, but man, oh man, it's been like 6 or 7 years that he's been writing Batman already. And he's the one that had Batman come in contact with the Dynesium. So that's kind of like, all right, you're talking from the creator right now of this whole thing. he came in contact with it, and he's currently the one that is going to be writing this DC Metal storyline, so he would know, if anybody, if Batman's going to get any of these super metahuman powers. This is what Scott Snyder said with the whole Suicide Squad issue. Not to speak for Suicide Squad, but Batman is not meta. He gets powers for stories like Darkseid War, but he has never been meta in nature. So right there, Scott Snyder is trying to kill that whole Batman is gonna get powers thing. He's talked about how he's got powers for stories in the past, but he's not a metahuman in nature. But of course, this is the internet and comic book nerds, and we all just like, well, technically, blah, 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 blah. You know, we go a little too far sometimes. And, you know, some people kind of take things out of creators' hands and kind of run away with it. But the interesting thing here was that the actual writer of the Suicide Squad comic book actually responded to this thing as well. And this is what they said. People reading too much into this. Waller / the people's goal in the current storyline is to lock away all superhumans, Batman included. Whether Batman has powers or does not matter to her / them. Given his actions and how he runs with the Justice League, he's a target. So there you have it. You have Scott Snyder and the current writer of Suicide Squad clarifying the statements about Batman being a metahuman, or not being a metahuman for that matter. And I think it's cool. I'm glad they came out and kind of clarified that, because I personally, if they wouldn't have done that, I probably would have been like, well, this is pretty interesting too. I would have hated it, personally. You guys, if you've been on this channel for a while, you know that if I don't like something in comic books, I would definitely talk about it, or shows, or something along that lines. And Batman is somebody that I'd never want to see get metahuman powers or anything like that. It's cool when he gets them every once in a while just because it's fun to read, but if he always had it, I don't like that ability, because he's badass enough on his own right now, and then if you give him super strength or something like that, I think it'll just be a little too much. And I just like how those storylines, when Batman does get those powers, how sometimes he abuses them, or sometimes he lets them get the best of him, is really cool. I mean, just look at the Mobius chair. When that happened in, what was that called? Darkseid Wars, I think. That was really awesome to read that. And I don't know, I do want to know your guys' thoughts and opinions on this whole thing. Do you think it would have been cool for Batman to get powers, or no, Batman should always stay human, he should never get powers, ever? Let me know your thoughts on this whole thing in the comment sections down below. Guys and gals, don't forget, if you ever want to support this channel, you can check out the Patreon like these awesome people did, or you can do the OG thing and give this video a thumbs up and share it with all of your Batman buddies. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for all things nerdy and geeky on this channel. As always, I'm your host, JUICEfromtheBOX. Remember, when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself something. Have I had my daily dose of juice? See you guys next time. Bye!